Flight boss, bitch. For sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Terry's Moon. Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel. And I'm here to carry out God duties of motherfucker responsibilities. And let's get right into this motherfucker segment right here. Consciousness versus intelligence. And vice versa. Intelligence versus consciousness. Now, throughout this video, when I start to break this down, you're going to fully understand the energy signature that back and support both of these energy bodies, because they're both forms. Now, regardless of how light one form is compared to the other, and how less dense and less physical it is, what you need to understand is your spirit is attached to the astral realm, the frequency vibration realm. Then once your spirit vibrates, it creates the energy realm. And the energy realm is everything that correlates to non-physical to physical. And we know things take time to be non-physical to become physical, to become less dense to dense. So that whole science, that whole program is the energy portion of life, the solid portion of life. So when you hear things like gas, liquid, solid, look at that as frequency, vibration, energy. Now, energy is the solid realm. You see what I'm saying? It's completely the solid realm. So things that you see that's non-solid, non-physical, right? For it to be pushed in and you to feel the energy of it, quote unquote, the energy is in the shapeless and formless, getting ready to take shape and form and become dense. That's the science we create as spirits. We create the energy realm from the frequency realm, frequency vibration realm. So you have frequency vibration energy, gas, liquid, solid. You know what I'm saying? Spirit, soul, body. Let's get this. Let's break this down so we can clearly understand this, so we can understand which one is more superior in this realm of reality when we talk about consciousness and intelligence. Now you're gonna have a group of people who are far in the left brain that'll tell you intelligence may be more superior. Then you're gonna have people who are far in the right brain to tell you that consciousness is more superior. When consciousness truly don't have anything to do with the right or the left brain. So let's start to decipher these energies. Consciousness actually was here first. Consciousness was here before intelligence. So that lets you know that consciousness don't have anything to do with intelligence. So how you separate that on the smallest form and on the smallest scale is like this. You can be consciously aware of someone's intelligence, even if you are not as intelligent as them. You could be consciously aware of that. So that automatically separates consciousness from intelligence. Now, intelligence is an offspring of consciousness. Now, there's a lot of different shapes and forms and bodies that are offsprings of consciousness. Consciousness itself is nothing more but light, and light is just another shape and form. It might be a lighter shape and form, but consciousness is just another form, right? It's just a lighter form, and the lighter something is, the higher it can rise. You know that when you put something in a bathtub that's lighter than something else in a bathtub, one thing will float. You see what I'm saying? Let's make sure this don't stay on the charger. One thing will float. So you have to look at that in all realms of realities. So consciousness is one of the first shapes and forms. It's one of the first lights, one of the first gases, one of the first thing you created as a spirit in the shapeless, formless realm to be brought into energy. So consciousness was one of the first things you created. So since you are a many person, many star, many being, many spirit that's in a form, right? Then that means you're connected to a bigger source of consciousness. But before we get into that, let's just talk about the conscious that you hold as far as you being consciously aware of yourself, you being consciously aware of your spirit. Now, as a spirit, that's just shapeless and formless, and we just doing a bunch of chaotic shit, but we can't actually dive in time or dive into our imagination and experience it. So we have to create shapes and forms and bodies that mimic our spirit, but the shapes and forms is the science that we create, energy. The energy portion, we create that, and that is time. And then once we create that, that create us. Once we have an imagination or a dream as a spirit, that form we created is an expression of time or experience in our imagination or dreams. Because without that form, as a spirit, we wouldn't be able to experience our imagination or our dreams. It'll just be like one thought, next thought, next thought, next thought. You know what I'm saying? And then experience won't be truly experienced. So, as a spirit, right, our conscious is one of the first shapes and forms we create in order to experience our expression of ourselves. So as a spirit, you are already an expression. But how can you be aware of that expression? Or how can anything else be aware of that expression without a body or form? So consciousness is one of the first lightest forms we create for ourselves. And with that conscious, look at that as your ego, your flame, your phoenix. You see what I'm saying? Your light. And light plays off as a form of information. So that light form, that gas form, body that you create for yourself as a spirit, you get to take that as a vessel, inhabit it, be a body snatcher, right? And go in that as a spirit, and now other people can see that body, which will be a light or ego or shape and form, aka a conscious, and other people will be able to see the characteristics of your spirit now. We're able to see the angle of your spirit now. We're able to draw signs and sigils, or able to add meanings and reasoning to your spirit now, because we actually got a representation of it, which is the first level of it, conscious. So when my conscious pick up on your conscious, we're able to separate our conscious levels. So we're able to have a representation to separate our spirit levels. So I'm able to see where your spirit at, you're able to see where my spirit at. But the only reason we're able to see it is because of the body we create for our spirit to take, which is what? The conscious. That's the first form. Now, other things are offsprings of conscious. So let's talk about intelligence. What does it take to be intelligent? It takes what? Information. So that lets you know it already takes a spirit. So that lets you know it already takes a conscious. Now your conscious, light ain't spirit. Light consciousness is the first body, the first shape and form your spirit create in order to be aware of itself. And for others to be aware of it. And for others to see the signs and the sigils and the movement of it. The dragon of it. You see what I'm saying? Dragon Ball Z. So the flame of it. The flesh of it. The before the flesh of it. The first makings of the manifestation of it. You see what I'm saying? So it's in the energy realm. But it's just the non-physical portion of it. But it's just the first body that your spirit create to mimic the spirit. Remind you, your spirit ain't doing nothing but creating robots and bodies and forms to mimic what it can do. But mimic it with time. You see what I'm saying? So you can live in it. Keyword, go in it. Your spirit go in it so it can live out its expressions that it always wanted to do in time. This is why you become time. So when we talk about intelligence, intelligence take a lot of information. Now, you have to look at the term information. You looking at in. So remember I, the line. That's one of the most important sigils you can ever. When you draw a line on a piece of paper, you're drawing an energy signature of what a spirit is doing. But since a spirit has no form, we create a conscious for it to be aware of it. And then that could become dense and be willed into many different realms of realities and densities. So when you look at the word information, you got I, and then the I frequency itself is attached to N, the letter N. So this let you know is a spirit going in a form. So this is a spirit going in a form, and that form probably have a bunch of nations in it, a bunch of organisms, a bunch of different formations. That's keyword, formations, Beyonce. That's formating in certain ways. And when your spirit go in that form, you get to learn that, but you experience that body. And Through these experiences, you're learning, extracting wisdom and knowledge, and placing new meanings and reasonings with these experiences. And that experience, you develop information. But y'all not truly understanding what I'm saying. That's what information is. When your spirit go in a form, go into a body, and experience that body. And that's what information is. So you find your way out of that body. That's what information is. So that's what intelligence, that's the only thing intelligence is. Intelligence is just you observing many different shapes and forms and finding your way out of those shapes and many different shapes and forms, many different organisms, organizations. You see what I'm saying? So when you talk about intelligence, intelligence is nothing more, nothing less but an offspring of consciousness. Now, consciousness doesn't even have anything to do with intelligence. A baby is conscious. Now, the conscious, see, the reason why the conscious created a body like intelligence, the intellect, and bodies like Mercury, and bodies like Jupiter, and other bodies like that. The reason why the conscious created these, because see, the conscious is baby-like to the spirit. So the spirit can only use the conscious for so much. So the spirit has to use the conscious to create other conscious forms and other forms of bodies and things of that nature. So the reason why the conscious do these things is because for the conscious want to experience, it's like the conscious to take a life of his own and want to experience a world and want to experience life a lot longer. So the conscious is just experiencing so many things at one time because it's just mimicking what the spirit does. It's like a robot for the spirit. It's a body for the spirit. Then once the spirit go into that conscious body go create another layer and create another layer and create another layer to the point that the spirit be deep inside. You know what I'm saying? But what you have to understand is doing these things, because if it was just pure consciousness, think about consciousness itself, and what you're being, your consciousness is going so rapidly. You're being consciously aware of so many things at one time that you become naive to the fact of the things that you're being consciously aware of. To the point that it be small things that you don't even pay attention to no more, that your spirit in your conscious body is always consciously aware of. But since you might be a low vibrational demonic ass spirit, to the point that you only like vibrating on low levels, to the point that you would disclose your conscious is a higher spirit. Is a higher vessel that your spirit like to take. So if you a low vibrational demonic ass jinn ass spirit, you not even gonna give a fuck about being consciously aware about shit a lot of times. You see what I'm saying? Because that's one of your higher bodies you made for yourself as a spirit to take. But if your spirit don't even like to take the high road, you will take a lot of the lower natures a lot of times and disclose what you should be consciously aware of a lot of times. This just because you want forms of information, just because you want forms of intellect, and based upon the people, places, and things you are around, those forms of information may not even be good for you. The day-to-day gossip in the neighborhood ain't even good for you, and you might put yourself in situations and circumstances that might fuck yourself up. But you always gonna be consciously aware of that, because that's your first body that your spirit be taking. But since you might be already in low spirits and shit like that and have a negative spirit, you might cling to negative shit and don't cling to what you already consciously aware of. That's telling you shouldn't even be consciously aware of that, getting into those bodies of information. And therefore you damage your spirit in ways that you never know. You know what I'm saying? And spiritual damaging ain't got nothing to do with sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never will. No, in the astral realm, the energetic frequencies and the spirits that's backed and supported behind the words and shit is what actually hurt you. Remember, a word will make someone kill themselves way faster than a bullet wound. Let me repeat. A word or a perception or a concept that a person is in will make themselves kill themselves a lot faster than a motherfucker coming to shoot them or a motherfucker coming to stab them with sticks and stones. See what I'm saying? So that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never will. Y'all motherfuckers is lost in the physical listening to that shit. So you need to understand everything is concepts, shapes, and forms. Now look, Monday, now that's the thin line between consciousness and the intelligence. Intelligence is a baby, it's an offspring to consciousness, and consciousness is an offspring to your spirit. It's a robot that your spirit created to mimic the spirit. You know what I'm saying? So never forget that. Your spirit always gonna remain unseen in that realm. Now, this what you now tomorrow's Monday, so I'm gonna be back in 100% running. So anybody got any questions? I'm going through my messages, my inboxes, my Gmails, and everything because you know for the most part, for these past couple days, well I ain't even gonna lie, these past week, and even bits and pieces these past 2 months, but mainly this past 2 weeks, I've been putting myself in a situation where I'm not uh admitting to any promises or put my foot in my mouth in any way or agreeing to any terms and conditions ahead of time. And what do I mean when I say that? And this is even my real life. Me not agreeing to any promises that I know I'm not going to be able to fully go through cuz you know I got a habit of agreeing to doing something for somebody and the next day I have a bowel obstruction or I end up getting sick and had to go to the hospital and then I can't fully carry out that duty and obligation 100%. So I've been kind of iffy on, you know what I'm saying, taking natal readings and things of that nature to the full maximum potential and you know going through my inboxes and things of that nature because for that matter off the bat because I look at it like I'm even doing that in my real life. So if I'm doing that in my real life with people who really can pop up on me, you know what I'm saying, that I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself for the health. So I've been doing different little tests, you know what I'm saying, because y'all know I'm like a breatharian, a solitarian. I don't eat nothing, you know what I'm saying. So I got to slow down on fluids and shit like that. So I've been doing a little different things with sea salt and straight 100% lemon juice and just switching up my routine and seeing if I can seeing if I do this one day, seeing if I don't get sick the next day, or if I do this day, see if I don't get sick the next day, and you know coming up with tests and shit so I can be sure of myself. So when I dive back into my 100% route and start taking all these interviews and emails and shit like that. And giving out my energy and shit, I can be prepared and I can be 100% sure that I'm giving my 100% energy to y'all and I'm not taking something ahead of time without fully knowing what's going to happen tomorrow and having people not knowing what's going on and upset and waiting on me for my response and stuff like that. So that's what that be about, to be 100% honest with y'all. So, you know, but I did all that with the fluids and shit like that. So I'm pretty sure on what I can do now, how long to talk, breath moments, what to drink, what not to drink, you know what I'm saying, and stuff of that nature. So, you know, yeah, tomorrow, and I'm back pushing out videos like I ain't never did before. Tomorrow, because tomorrow was money Mondays. So you know what I'm saying, that mean getting back into this material world, but it's really Moon Mondays. You know what I'm saying, I just said Money Mondays because I had Paid in Full on my mind. You know what I'm saying, but yeah, Moon Mondays. So you know what I'm saying, I gotta get my emotional awareness back. So that, and then I'm back 100%. So you know, flight boss bitch, goddamn air.